Yes, I do shoot it out against the CLA 76 plugin, in case you were wondering. Today we are looking at the Black Lion Audio Bluey, which is a really interesting compressor. It is a one-to-one recreation of Chris Lord-Alge's original modified Blue Stripe, his unit that he uses in his studio, which you've heard on records like Green Day and Muse. This is a modified Blue Stripe. It is an 1176 compressor, the Blue Stripe original AB revision, and it is modified. It is very gainy, it is very aggressive, it is very in your face. I won't go crazy with the history of Blue Stripes or 1176s, but 1176s are in general a little bit more of an aggressive sounding compressor, and let's just say you have the volume knob with an 1176 all the way to like a 9 or a 10. With the Blue Stripe, you're bringing it to 11, and with Chris Lord-Alge's modified unit, you are bringing it up to 12. This thing is a gain maniac. I mean, it has so much oomph and in-your-face aggression, and then some, but there are a couple of things with that you can kind of mess with it to get a little bit more versatility out of it with the mix wet dry knob, and I'll talk about that all in all later. But if you were buying this unit, you are really buying it mostly for that aggression, that in-your-face punch, that smack. You want to get that Chris Lord-Alge sound where everything is just up front in the mix, and that is why you were buying this unit. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the review, the demo, and give you guys some explanations as to everything about this unit. Black Lion Audio has been around for ages. This unit is made by Black Lion Audio. They started with mods, now they're doing hardware. This unit, as far as I know, is made fully in the United States. It says on the back of the unit that it is designed and assembled in Chicago, which is where Black Lion Audio is from. I know some of their other stuff is, in China and manufacturing and other countries and stuff like that too, but this unit, I believe, is fully made in the United States, and the build quality definitely shows for that. It is built like a tank, is very, 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 very heavy, has a very nice, solid, just feel to the actual unit. If you drop it, like, you're not going to feel like it's just going to shatter into pieces or break. Obviously don't drop your unit, but I would say that the build quality is really top tier. 9 out of 10 easily. If you have seen on my channel before, I have done a replacement bulb guide for the Black Lion Audio Bluey. It was from a couple of months back, and I will link it right here. But that, inside the unit, like seeing what's inside the like solder joints and all the actual like capacitors they use and stuff, it's all like top-notch stuff. It is a very well built and solid unit in terms of just functionality, build quality, and reliability. I've had zero issues, only with the bulb going dead, which I bought the unit that way, and that's a very common thing for all 76s. I've had actual universal audio units have the bulb die out in just a year of consistent use, so it's nothing normal that you wouldn't just cover in basic maintenance. Price: this unit comes in at $1,000. Whereas the CLA 76 plugin comes in at $30. That is a very wide gap of price coverage. So $1,000 on a compressor is not a weird price, especially in today's market. If you look at a lot of the other clones of 76 type compressors, they usually range anywhere between $700 and $2,000. With the actual universal audio ones going for a little bit more than that. If hardware is your thing and $1,000 is your budget and you're looking for a seriously in-your-face aggressive compressor, you'll definitely get it with the Black Lion Audio Bluey. If you're looking for more versatility, I would suggest maybe going elsewhere. If you're looking for something budget friendly, the FMR RNC really nice compressor is a nice, like, kind of digitally hybrid controlled little analog compressor that just sounds great on just about everything, and it's very versatile. And you know, if you're looking for a little bit something better, kind of more in the more expensive range, I would say just grab a distressor. That way you kind of get the best of all worlds. But if your budget is $1,000 and you're specifically looking for a very, very, very aggressive sound, Chris Lord-Alge's aggressive sound that's going to make your record sound like a Chris Lord-Alge mix, then $1,000 is where you're going to have to come in to snag this guy. So the demo portion of this video, the Black Lion Audio Bluey does not have a bypass switch. It just has that wet dry knob. So I can't just bypass at a click of a button like you can on the plugin or with other compressors. Unfortunately, that makes it very difficult to do, you know, on-off comparisons. So there is a section in this video where I do just fade the knob back and forth between, so you can hear the comparison of on, off, off, on, off, back and forth, so forth throughout for the entire signal that I am running through. So you'll hear the volume basically crank up. You'll hear the volume crank up and then go down in between me switching it between, you know, wet and dry. It's not perfect, but it gives you an idea of what's going on. Like, you can hear the compression kick in and come out on a lot of sources. You can hear it pretty well on the bass guitar and even on like actual guitars. You know, it's really in your face, and it's really crazy what it does. But that's included just so you have a sort of on-off comparison. I did a full no compression mix, so you can hear what it sounds like with nothing coming through. I did one with full compression on, so you can hear what the unit really does. And then, like I said, I did that comparison to the CLA 76 plugin, so you can hear, and they're right back to each other. So it's just, you're hearing the mix of the analog, you're hearing the mix of the software, and you could kind of sort of skip around, click on the two and kind of jump you to it's very close in comparison, and the results honestly shocked me. You know, the big thing is that I've noticed was low end and high end. Mostly low end, pretty much everything under 200 hertz didn't really transfer as well as I thought it would, and that's just the thing I've noticed with most software compressors, is that they don't really react well to low end frequencies. You know, but the two are very comparable, just to say the least. So you will be able to hear that in this upcoming demo, which I'm about to show after I run through the front and back of the unit. So starting at the left of the unit, we have the input knob. This is the input control. It sets the threshold and controls the level at which the compressor starts to compress. Next, we have the output knob. This applies makeup gain to compress the signal to compensate for signal lost during compression. Next, we have the attack and release knobs. The attack knob controls the amount of time for the unit to react to the incoming signal, and the release knob controls the speed at which the compressor releases that compressed signal. And lastly, which is a very cool addition to this guy, is the wet dry knob, the blend knob. So pretty cool is, you know, almost like a bypass switch in a way, and that's actually how I use it in this demo. Is, you know, when it's dry, there's no compression being applied, but when it is wet, the compressor is in full force. And this is cool because you could kind of blend it and come up with some creative options. So a very cool thing to have. Next up, we have the 4 ratio buttons. Obviously 4, 8, 12, and 20. And of course you can do different combinations of the two. So if you wanted to do, say, 12 and 20, you can do that. If you wanted to do 8 and 12, you can do that. And of course the all buttons in nuke mode, which is hard to do with one hand here filming. But yes, you can absolutely nuke it, and I do nuke it in this video. Then we have the lush and beautiful VU meter, very vintage looking, like an original, you know, Blue Stripe 76. It has that aesthetic, that vibe. I just, you know, did a video on this a little while back on how to replace the bulb in the Black Lion Audio Bluey, and, you know, the entire housing here, it's very vintage looking. It's very cool feeling. It gives you that, you know, cool sort of vintage vibe that a lot of units, you know, are kind of straying away from now and going into that modern look. And lastly, we have the on-off button down here at the bottom, and the VU meter, readout, whether you want it to be gain reduction +4 +8. Looking at the back of the unit, we have the power plug, a voltage selector, balanced output, balanced input, in a stereo link. If you were to buy 2 of these units, you can buy the cable, link the 2 together, and can have that master-slave control going on with just a single unit so that you have a stereo pair. Pretty cool.
2, 3. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife. The moment we're born, we begin to die. We're so close, we can taste the afterlife.
Final thoughts. It's an incredible sounding compressor. It does sound great. It sounds like an 1176 Blue Stripe on steroids, and that's exactly what it is. It's a very aggressive, very in your face, very pumpy and, you know, right in front of the mix sounding compressor without really having to do much. You know, it's got a lot of gain built into it. So if you're looking for a color box, if you're looking for that saturation in your compression, then this is going to be a unit that you would maybe want to consider. At $1,000, it is, you know, in that market where there are other options. And again, if you're looking for the software version of that and coming pretty close, not exactly right there, but, you know, close enough, that does a $970, you know, difference justify the purchase. There is the Waves CLA 76. If you're a universal audio user, and I do have the UAD plugin for the Blue Stripe, and I will say that it is very, very, very good. it's still not the physical hardware, but it is very close. And with with mix downs, you will definitely not notice. But if you are in that market and you do have a universal audio device and you do buy the 76 plugin, which I think you mostly get for free. I think I got mine for free with buying a universal audio plugin. So you can use that, and it's just as good as the CLA 76, and then some. I actually think it's better, but that's just me, and that's just my opinion. In comparison, if you were going the software route or the hardware route, obviously this guy is a little bit more aggressive than the software counterparts, and obviously this guy is a hardware unit, so you're going to definitely get a much fuller, more saturated, and really better sound. But is it worth spending the extra hundreds of dollars to get that? And that is up to you. I personally wouldn't. I bought this unit used from Guitar Center. I snagged it at an incredible deal. Basically, I got mine for basically under $600, and for $600, it makes a lot more sense to actually pick one up. So I did, and I had it for about a year. I enjoyed my time with it. It was a very solid unit. I've used it on a bunch of mixes. I've used it on a bunch of stuff as well too, just as a color box, and it was really cool. It was a really fun piece to have, really fun to use, to get really awesome results out of, and I really did enjoy my time with it. I have a Blue Stripe that is not Chris Lord Algae's modified unit, and I use that Blue Stripe way more than I ever use this unit, and that is pretty much the only reason why I'm selling it. I mean, if I need to go to, 12 instead of 11, there's other ways that I can get there. But, I bought it. I had fun with it. It was a great unit. And it did what I needed it to do, which was be ridiculously aggressive. And it was fun to mess around with. And I like to use the word fun because that's how I saw this compressor. If you're consistently putting out records that need to be aggressive and in your face and just full of, right center, in your face, dead of the mix, aggression and saturation and just colorful goodness, if that's what you are doing, then it would make sense for you to buy this and use it a significant amount. I found myself, as more and more mixes that I was getting were coming in, clients that were not so aggressive, I found myself just barely using it. Occasionally I would just mess with it and try it on just to see if I could, have fun with it. And like I said, I did. I had a lot of fun with this unit. It's a fun unit. Is it practical for most people? It can potentially be. Like I said, I would recommend, if you're looking for a more versatile compressor to either snag, like on the expensive side of things, like a distressor, even an LA2A, the West Audio Dio, and that I just demoed out. There's tons of stuff that are very transparent and colorful if you need them to be, instead of just one way or the other. And if you're on the budget end of things, the FMR RNC, really nice compressor, little guy. It's like $200 used. They sound great, and it's hardware. It is, I believe, digitally controlled aspects of it, but for the most part, it's fully analog. So you are getting that warmth and color and character. You can get a little bit of gain out of it. It is a little bit more on the transparent side, but it is a beautiful sounding compressor nonetheless. And there are definitely options out there, is what I'm saying. So I don't know if I could say, hey, like, I recommend the Blue Stripe if you're looking for your first compressor, because I wouldn't. If you're like, hey, I'm looking for something fun and unique and has a color palette and is different than the things I've used in the past, I would say, hey, have you maybe checked out the Black Lion Audio Bluey, because that thing is, a gainiac crazy monster, and it's got full throttle basically 24/7. Maybe check that out. And for a lot of people who are just looking to get into pro audio, who are looking for a piece of gear that they kind of want to use and abuse consistently because it's their first piece of hardware, this may not be that for you. It may be that for you. You've heard the comparison, it sounds great. You know, it sounds aggressive. It's very in your face. You know that it's built like a tank and made in America, a very solid and reliable unit, and you know the price tag. With that information, you may do as you please, whether you decide to pick one up or not. It's on you if you decide to save some bucks and get the plug-in or a variation of a 76 plug-in Blue Stripe model to get that aggression. That's on you, but hopefully this video helped you and helped you see the difference between the actual hardware and software and everything in between and other options that are out there. And if you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Let the YouTube algorithm do its thing. And as always, thanks again for watching.